Great. Well, welcome. This is going to be a hopefully quick walkthrough of how to cut cards in debate utilizing tools such as Verbatim for Microsoft Word and Zotero, which is a bibliography manager program. Um, these are all free since obviously debaters, you are usually affiliated with some sort of school. I'll also show you how to get the EDU version of Microsoft Word um, so that you don't need to run verbatim on like Google Docs or Office or anything. Hopefully in another video I'll be able to go ahead and show you some more ins and outs of paperless debate and show you how we do it on our squad. But let's go ahead and start. So first, we're going to open Safari here, and we're going to go ahead and navigate to paperlessdebate.com. So here's a few things. Obviously, there's the open policy case list, open evidence project, things like that, open paperless project. We're going to click here on verbatim. Now, verbatim is simply a series of macro templates. Now, I use a Mac, as you can probably tell, and so I use verbatim for Mac. Now, if you use a PC, just go ahead and click on the PC version, but I'm going to go ahead and utilize the Mac. Now, I find that the Mac version works best when you manually install it, so let me show you how to do that. So you're going to go ahead and download this, right? Open it up. You're going to go ahead and go here, Show in Finder, and you're going to move that to your desktop. Okay? Now what you're going to do, well, so you downloaded the verbatim template, okay? It's going to be called debate.datum. Now, if you don't have Microsoft Word, we're going to go www.tinyurl.com/Chico Office. And so I'll actually put this direct link into the description box. If you go ahead and click here, find out you're eligible. So I've tested this with a number of .edu email addresses, and most work. I haven't had any ping back, and there were some from some community colleges I was trying to take an online summer course with in my own university, which is how I got my Office suite for free. So you just go in here, and you're going to get an email, and it's going to follow you the sign up link, and then you'll be able to download Office. Microsoft Office is going to pop up. It's going to tell you, sign into an Office 360 subscription. Go ahead and do that, and eventually you'll get here with Microsoft Word. So I'm not going to walk you through all those steps, but here is, let's say you've gotten to the point already where you have your debate.datum and you have your Microsoft Word. So we're going to go ahead and open Microsoft Word here, and we're just going to click on a basic Word document. Now, we're going to open that template. Just give it a sec. Here we go. So this is the verbatim tab, and we'll get into, when we get into the actual card cutting demo, we'll go ahead and kind of go through, but this is what it's going to look like. A lot of cool features. So what you're actually going to do is you're going to go ahead and go save as, and see, it's going to give you the option to actually save in my templates. Now you see here mine is already there from when I installed it, so I'm going to hit cancel. But then the next step, what you're going to want to do is fully close out Word. You're going to want to delete that, go to your trash. Go ahead and empty all of this. Perfect. Okay. So now let's get this. So Zotero is a really cool program. Just to show you how it works, I'll go ahead and open it here. So here, basically, it allows you to save articles um, and then save them as sites. So let's see here. This is a big one. Here's some stuff from last year's LD topic, right? So this got saved off of this web page. So basically, what this program will allow me to do is create bibliography from item, and then set it to cite in a certain format. Now I use the APA style, which most people use for debate, um, and you just copy it to the clipboard with the bibliography, and it's a really cool program. So we'll get into it a little bit more, but let me go ahead and show you how to get it. So let me go to Zotero. Let me log in here. So basically, you're going to come to Zotero.com. You're going to create an account. And then you're going to go ahead and just download it. So you want to download Zotero standalone, and that's what gets you this, so it will sync up. But depending on what browser you run, you can also get Zotero plugins. And you can see here, this little Z is my Zotero plugin. And you're going to want to install that. Each of these have different installing instructions. I only use Firefox for work. I use Safari because of the battery life. The extra battery life, I should say, that it affords you. So Safari is what I use. So let me show you how this works. So we're gonna assume that you were able to download Zotero and the Safari tab. So let's say I want to go to NewYorkTimes.com. Okay, awesome. So I'm on NewYorkTimes.com, and let's say perfect. I'm going to be running a case on immigration. So I find this here, right? See how I have this link here? I have Zotero open. I'm signed into it. I click here, and you can see that it's saving to Zotero. And so you see here, it copied all of this correctly there. And now I can go to create bibliography, set to APA, copy to clipboard, fire up my Microsoft Word using my debate template here that we recently installed. And bam, the editorial board. Now, if there's an author, obviously this will show you the author. And, well, we'll get to the sources in a minute. So, we're here. We have Zotero open. We're utilizing Zotero for card cutting. We've got the extension Safari, and we've got Verbatim for Mac. So, let's talk about actually cutting cards. So there's a few things. Basically, the idea of cutting cards is that you want to take parts of what an author's saying and using their own words, basically summarized. So, for instance, a long article about, say, immigration or like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, obviously there's a lot of fluff information. So we cut, quote unquote, cut cards to basically narrow down that information, because in debate, word economy is key. Way back in the day, before computers and everything, debaters would actually cut their cards by physically copy and pasting, and you can see some old PDFs and stuff of old debate cards. It's crazy that they would have to do all of that. But we're lucky to have this awesome program now, so shout out to the Verbatim folks. I believe it's a guy from Whitman College that does this. But, so, let's say here that I'm just going to do a simple disadvantage, right? So, I'm going to title this disadvantage. Cool. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and I'm going to hold the FN button to trigger the F keys on my Mac. Now, for PC users, you don't have to do this. And I'm going to F4. So basically what this will do is this basically functions as the title of the document. So I have the disadvantage, right? Now, I want to cut my 1NC shell. So now we need to be able to cut the document into subheaders in order to keep our various sections, such as the 1NC shell or the add-ons or the answer cards, separate. So let's go ahead and do that now. So now we're going to use F5, and it's going to double underline it and create a page blank here, and also create a nice tab plane here. Okay, so now we're at the 1NC shell. Let me just capitalize it. Sweet. So let's talk about cards. So there are 4 parts to a card: the tag, the citation, the article, the underlined portions of the paragraphs you're cutting from the article, and the highlighting. So, for instance, I'm just going to cut one card here. So, uniqueness, right? Here's I can't spell uniqueness. Here is the tag part of the card. I usually write the organization within it. Different debaters, will separate this differently, but I say uniqueness, TPP, going to pass, but will be close, top of the docket. Okay, so how do we tag this? Well, we're going to go F7. So you see here we have the title of the document, the section of the document, and now this is going to be an actual card. And let's talk about sites. So now to show you how to do sites, we're going to go here to Zotero. And here's actually a card about TPP from earlier this year in January. So we're going to go ahead and export it here. See, it saves our settings. So you're going to copy, you're going to highlight, and you're going to go F3, or you can use these and you're going to condense it. Oh, but it won't let you. And here's how you solve this. So you're going to go F9, and then you're going to undo it, and then you're going to go ahead and condense. So here we go. Now, obviously, sometimes it's not perfect. So here gives you a no date. So we just want to make sure to 2015 it. So we're going to go ahead and use this really cool thing. So format, you can auto format the sites, and we're going to do this now. And just takes a minute. Okay, it doesn't work for all sites. So this is a perfect example of usually the auto format the sites works, but in this case, we're going to have to do it manually. So this is all fine. Just going to want to highlight the author and the date, and then we're going to use the F8 to create the citation. And you see here the site doesn't show up on this side. Now you can utilize, some people prefer their citations to show up, and that's fine. And in that case, I suggest utilizing the tag function on the citation of the card, so that your cards are organized by author and date here versus TPP. So I'll go ahead and show you here. So now we're just going to reverse what we did. This is going to be F8. This is going to F7. Just going to click here. Just go ahead, for the purposes of this, we'll go ahead and delete it. it will come up. But anyway, so I just want to go ahead and drop this back here so we get back to where we were. So this is how I do it. I like to be able to have this look like uniqueness link, internal link impact, and just be able to find the cards like there. So now we have the tag and we have the site. So now we'll go ahead and just use something from that link here. So I want to go to this link. Go ahead and pop that open here. Now, see, this is a really terrible source. Which is probably why I didn't really run TPP last year. This is a really bad source, but we're going to go ahead and utilize it just for this example here. So we're going to highlight all of this, right? So the trick here too, get rid of that. The trick here too is that when you go to paste, you're not going to use Windows built-in paste function. You're going to go ahead and use Verbatims. It's going to paste it without any sort of formatting. Now we're going to condense it to get rid of the paragraphing. Now this makes the card a lot shorter. And now we're going to tag the card now, or excuse me, not tag it. We're going to underline the card now. This is a very important part. So obviously you want to summarize through me having an understanding of TPP. You got to read through your evidence and know it. So we're going to underline this. President Obama gave a second to last State of the Union speech. Now to underline, you're going to use F9. Now, in this form of verbatim, this is to give you a simple underline. Now, I like to have my underlines bolded, so we're going to use F10. Included was a push for Congress to pass the TPP, turned out to be contrary on a number of levels. Once again, F10. And not surprisingly, opposition is coming primarily from Obama's own party. Sometimes you highlight large chunks here. So, here we go. We've highlighted a card. Now, we're going to have to do one more thing. There's a really cool feature that works really well when you're attempting to read documents called invisibility mode. So what we're going to be able to do here is we're going to go here, F11 highlight, and it makes sense to highlight everything you're going to read to be able to utilize this. So even if I read all of this, everything that I've already underlined, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it anyway. And so this is how it's nice and easy to read. So when we go to the view function up here on this tab, we can turn on invisibility mode. And we get this here. And so we just have this really nice so that when you're reading, it's really easy just to be able to read just what you want to say versus having all of that. And especially when you're spreading really fast and you're breaking new arguments that you necessarily haven't read a lot before, it makes it really nice to be able to just be able to read word for word verbatim. So this is one way, a really cool function for that. So we're going to go ahead and turn off invisibility mode for now. So let's talk about organizing the documents. So obviously we have this. I always like to make sure that I have a header. I usually do like school, year, author, just so when it comes to like giving sites to other schools and things like that, that you make sure that they will, just to kind of take ownership of what you cut. So let's talk about documents. So obviously you have your 1NC shell. I'm not going to write out the whole shell of this disadvantage, but you're also going to have your AT or A2. I like to use AT. And so typically, you're going to have front lines or you're going to have cards for particular responses. So for politics, a big argument is political capital isn't real. So you're going to do AT to that, whatever that argument is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to F5 it. And so what this does here is it offers you another page break and creates another form of organization here so that if I want to go answers, I can go ahead and do this. And so what I typically would even do is I would typically even add, let me back up here. I typically usually even add something like one in our answers and F4 it so that you have your whole disadvantage, but then you can even further separate your answers by going AT political capital not real, and then we can F5 that. Obviously sometimes there's these weird spaces, but they don't really matter. So this is really just for organization purposes. I just like to have this neat, be able to know, okay, if I need to go to my one in R answers, especially when you start to get into really long documents where you have multiple 1 in C shells and things like that. And so you'd have your cards here, you know, but let's talk about cutting analytical front lines. So for instance, I'm just going to copy and paste a really, not going to copy and paste anything because I don't want to open up my personal tubs here online, but basically you're going to want to basically type out, so if I say, they say political capital not real, however, extend my blah 2015 evidence that says blah 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 because blah 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 blah. First you have to kind of like to give a summarized response slightly before you begin to extend. Read, defend, something else, and extend the four refutations. Anyway, and then additionally, if you want to have some sort of add-on card, like I like to have, like when I was running an app that advocated heavy military action, that securitarization actually results in epistemological shift toward global peace and security, and I would have an additional card here that turns it, and blah blah blah. Now, here's the thing with this: what you really want to do is you want to treat this as basically you're going to want to tag it, and then you're going to want to highlight it also. You're going to want to highlight your front lines because then when you turn on invisibility mode, it's going to show your your analytical front lines that you wrote. And so I usually like to do, especially if I'm cutting multiple updates too, I'll have a section that I like to call case breakdown or breakdown. Right? So we'll F4 here. And so we'll have uniqueness, which will be an F5. You'll have links, and that's just so if I'm updating a document, or if I have if I change internal link impact scenarios, or if I just want to pull out my internal link / and impact scenarios and run them as case turns. So you have these cool document planes. So I'm going to show you when you go to print layout view here. It makes it really nice to see. So you have the head page, and so what we're going to do now is that now that you have the main page, we're going to add a table of contents here. So you're just going to click on under document elements on the ribbon. You're going to click on classic, and I should have moved my cursor up here. No worries, folks. Now we're going to add classic. Table of contents, disadvantage. And this makes it really nice to know, okay, when you open up your file, if you're looking, because, sometimes you look for a particular card in one file that should be with another file. Um, and so this allows you to really nicely organize the document. You see here, here's the one in C shell, here'd be the one in our answers, the breakdown, uniqueness, links, and these are all end up on their kind of own pages. So if I have like 3 links on a page, it makes it really nice to be able to just look at, okay, these are my links, and it makes it really nice for when you're warranting cards out. And so that's pretty much the gist of how to cut cards in Verbatim utilizing Zotero and Verbatim. I hope this helps. Good luck to all of your debate rounds, and I hope you enjoy the video. Please stick around and hopefully enjoy more videos. The next one should be a more in-depth look at actually in-round debating paperless. Um, so, yeah, hope this helps. Signing off.